So, as many of you probably know, I like Star Wars, and upon rewatching every film in preparation for the new LEGO Star Wars game, I thought it might be fun to take a look back and rank every single Star Wars movie in the Skywalker saga. Just a couple quick disclaimers before we get started. I am ranking every film in the Skywalker saga, so don't expect Rogue One or Solo to be on the list. Another thing is that the video has lots of opinions, so take everything I say with a pinch of salt. I am in no way trying to change your opinion, this is just me saying my opinions to a bunch of strangers I don't know online. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Number 9. The Rise of Skywalker. This film is a mess from beginning to end. Upon rewatch, during the first half of the movie, I was surprised by how much I didn't hate it, but then as the movie went on, I noticed more and more problems with it. And by the end, I was more pissed off than anything because I thought my expectations would be subverted during the first half, but then issues started to pile up so tremendously. Not to mention, the film felt rushed with things like, oh no, Chewbacca died, oh wait, never mind, it's just so stupid. You have to try to make a movie this bad, and well, I guess they did. No disrespect to J.J. Abrams, of course, who I'm sure is talented even if I haven't seen many of his works. Jeez, I'm getting pissed off just reading this part of the script. I really don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's just go on to the next. Number 8, Attack of the Clones. I would like to point out that, from now on, these movies are at least decent and a huge step up from The Rise of Skywalker. Anyways, Attack of the Clones was really not as bad as I was expecting. Granted, I have not seen the film in probably 7 years. This is probably the film I remember the least upon going into the rewatch. But sure, I knew what happened, but it was nice seeing all that play out for myself. There really isn't much to say about this one, other than the fact that it allows me to bring up my hatred for sand because it's so core. Number 7. The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, in my opinion, is actually pretty good. Sure, there are some weird things like Snoke getting killed too early, leaving the throne empty, we all know how that turned out, and Captain Phasma is dead now, leaving Finn with no main rival and by proxy nothing to do. That being said, Rose Tickable is likable enough, and the movie can be pretty funny at times. I also thought that Luke Skywalker's arc throughout the film was really nice and a great conclusion to his character. The issue with the sequel trilogy is that they probably just passed it back and forth between the two directors with very little communication between the two. It felt like there was no plan through the whole trilogy. You know, I honestly probably should have put this section in The Rise of Skywalker, but I was too physically pissed off to actually want to write anything more in that part, so I just put it here instead. Number 6. The Phantom Menace. This film is weird to me. It really hasn't aged that well, especially the CGI. The acting is all wooden, except for Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson as Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, respectfully. And Jar Jar, nay, the entire Gungan race as a whole is kinda weird and dumb. I don't like the way they talk with their, "Hey, Yosa's," and their, "Yosa's in big trouble now, Jar Jar." But I had a remarkably fun time with the action, and the music is still really solid. Specifically, Duel of the Fates is perfection in a nutshell, or plastic DVD case. But there really isn't much for me to talk about this movie that hasn't already been said, so let's just move on to number 5. Number 5, The Force Awakens. Call it what you will, whether that be a New Hope rehash, or just the first one all over again, or... No, I guess it's really just those two things. I personally have a little nostalgic bias for this one. This was the first Star Wars movie I saw opening night in the theaters. Little 10-year-old me was just awe-stricken by the amazing space battles, the dramatic lightsaber battles, not anymore, they're kind of boring now, and the great acting from many of the actors. There really isn't much to say beyond that, so I guess that's really it. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. The characters play off each other really nicely. Okay, that's it, moving on now. Number 4, Return of the Jedi. This is the weakest one of the original trilogy in my opinion. Keyword weakest. This is still a great film that nicely ties up the storyline in a neat little bow without leaving very many plot threads untied or left open. And they kill the Emperor. See that? He's dead. And there's no coming back from that. With the story wrapped up and all is good and well, this was a perfectly serviceable ending to one of the greatest film franchises of all time. Until they ruined it with the sequels. But let's not worry about that right now. 3. A New Hope. It feels strange to say but A New Hope feels like a very vanilla Star Wars adventure. Well, I mean, of course it is. It was the first one, and of course it's going to feel the most basic out of all of them. The most amazing thing to me was that this film is practically destined for failure, with a messy production and trouble getting off the ground, and very few movie theaters even actually showing it on its opening weekend. It still managed to be a smash hit at the box office, starting with those iconic words, "A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away." What an amazing way to start a movie franchise. Number 2, The Empire Strikes Back. This is the definition of a perfect sequel. Check out the schaffrillas production Shrek 2 video for more info on the criteria of a perfect sequel, linked in the description. The way it expands on the ideas and themes of the original Star Wars movie and making it a much more dark story overall really adds to the film in a spectacular way. The darker tone of this film keeps building up until the very end with the iconic words, "I am your father." What a shocking and twisted reveal. This film demonstrated the best parts of Star Wars and is probably the best movie in the saga, but it's not my favorite. Number 1, Revenge of the Sith. This is my favorite. Building on the darker tone of Empire Strikes Back, this movie is what I think of when I think of Star Wars. The entire opening sequence with the space battle and trying to capture Grievous and Anakin killing Count Dooku is a masterpiece. Easily a 9 out of 10 opening. And the memes that this film has generated over the past few years, like, "Hello there," or "I have the high ground," are just a few examples. And the way Anakin is slowly turned to the dark side by Palpatine, who is brilliantly portrayed by Ian McDiarmid, returning from the original trilogy. And the romance between Padme and Anakin is amazing. One of my favorite scenes in this movie is the scene without any dialogue, where Anakin and Padme are contemplating what could happen to them and the baby. And the entire scene with tragedy of the Darth Plagueis of the Wise is brilliant. Chef's kiss, easily a 9.5 out of 10 film. So, overall, the Star Wars movies have been pretty rough and rocky, but at the same time, they've had some of the best movies in cinematic history. If I had to score them all individually, it would probably be, in order of the ranking, 2 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10, 9 out of 10, and 9.5 out of 10. And there you have it. I may end up going into further detail about some of these movies later on if this video does well. And honestly, this is probably the most effort I've ever put into one of my videos, just from a planning perspective. Well, if you enjoyed this style of video from me and would like to see more of that, like it, then let me know in the comments down below, and consider subscribing. After all, only a small percent— oh, okay. All joking aside, please do consider subscribing. It helps out a ton, and you can always subscribe later if you want. Okay, see ya.